video contains massive spoilers for the new Thor Love and Thunder movie. If you're trying to evade spoilers, click off the video now and watch it after you have seen the movie. And yeah, let's get right into the video. What is up, you guys? Welcome back into a new Showcase Wednesday. And today we have my showcase for Thor Love and Thunder. This was a weird movie, like kind of short movie, I feel like, compared to the newer Marvel movies. But it was a good one. It's probably my favorite Marvel movie. But, so, let's stop dilly-dallying and let's get on to these wonderful figures, shall we? So our first figure we have in this showcase is Gorr the God Butcher, which for Gorr, it was a difficult challenge to make him because I knew I wanted to use the same torso, hands, and head from Gorr as the set, same with the sword that also came. And this sword took me forever to find because I forgot where I placed it, so that sucked for a bit. Took me like an hour to find that sword. It was in my food part bin. And yeah, but to build him, I used the head, hands, sword piece, and torso, all from the Gorr the God Butcher minifigure. Not the head. The head I used from Corvus Glaive from the Thresher attack set from 2018 to give him that little like creepy look there. And then you have the scared expression. And I think these expressions look great for Gorr because he had that like laughing scene like all bad guys do in movies. But if you wanted to make him with the hood, you could put the white hood on from like Shazam to give him that nice finishing touch for the figure. And I put the legs on there from Vitruvius to give him like a skirt, kinda, because that's what he wore, like a dress piece. And that is him. So yeah, pretty cool villain, probably one of the best villains of Marvel. Thanos was probably the best one, the purple grape. But anyway, on to the next figure. Next we have Workout Thor, and I used black legs, the torso from the farmer from DC, white tan arms, tan hands, the head and hair from Thor Bros New Asgard set. It also came on the Love and Thunder figure, but the Love and Thunder figure doesn't have the long hair, it has the ponytail hair, which we'll get to in a second. But I think it looks pretty good because he did have that tank top, and I bet he was probably drinking something that made the tank top dirty. So yeah, that is our Thor minifigure, and we'll get right along. Next we have Ravager Thor, and this figure was a neat one to build. I used the torso from Star-Lord to give him that red jacket that he had on. I gave him some tan arms, some tan hands. The legs came from one of the characters from Lego City, I think, because they were white shoes with blue pants, and I thought that looked really like what he wore in that scene. And to build Stormbreaker, I used a long pole here that you can get from a lot of places if you have sets like that. I used this piece, the little pole, the axe piece, and this little stud piece here from the actual Stormbreaker. And then I put this little, like, I call it bell piece because it looks like a bell. I just put that on there to round the Stormbreaker design out. And then to finish the figure off, I used the head and hair from the Love and Thunder Thor from the sets. So let's get on to our next figure. Next up, we have Thor from the attack on the one city from the battle where Jane shows up. And yeah, spoiler alert, but you were warned at the beginning of the video, so you knew it was going to happen. So when Jane shows up, he's wearing like this design that is like, I don't really know what to call this design, perhaps. Like, maybe like upgraded suit Thor, but that's what we'd call the other one, so I don't know. But to build him, I use these legs here from like one of the knights with the gray boots on bottom and dark gray pants to match the dark gray torso, which I use from the 2020 video game Thor. I put on some tan arms, some tan hands, my Stormbreaker design I showed you earlier, a red cape here, the piece from Korg to give him that little neck piece there, the head from the Love and Thunder in Infinity Saga sets. Yeah, that's the word. To give him that nice beard he has throughout the movie. And then I put the hair on there from the video game Thor. I know you could use this hair that I have here, the ponytail, which I use on a lot of them from this movie. But this one, the ponytail would not fit on the neck bracelet. I don't know what it is, but neck comfort piece is what we'll go with. It won't fit on there, so I just put the hair on that came from the original Thor figures. So you just get the gist of the idea, but yeah, that is Fighting Thor, I guess you could call him. Next up, we have Thor from the final battle, I guess you could call it. And I didn't give him the Stormbreaker so you could see the actual figure up close. I used some tan arms, the hands, torso, legs, cape, head, and hair, all from the, I don't know why, I always forget the name, Love and Thunder sets, people. That's what they are. From that set, because of course it'll be the most accurate torso and the most accurate hairpiece and the most accurate face. And so I think that just looked good because it was accurate. So what I did was I took a pair of handcuffs and chopped them so they'd make gauntlets. See, if I take it off, you could see what I mean. It's like a half a piece of a handcuff. And so it'd give him like gauntlets because he had like gauntlets on his arm. So yeah, that is Thor from the movie, and that is our final Thor, people. So we can say goodbye to him and move on to our next character, which will be Jane Foster. Next up, we have Jane Foster from the beginning of the movie where she's dealing with cancer and she's walking around in civilian clothes. So I used a dark red torso that came from Lego City because it has that shirt with unzipped look, and I think it looks a lot like what she was wearing. I used some dark red arms, some tan hands, the phone piece from Emmett from the Lego Movie 2, the hair from Elizabeth Swann, the head from Hermione, and then the dark blue legs from any character. I don't know where you can get them from, but there's so many characters with dark blue legs. I couldn't even count how many I have in my collection, but that is Jane Foster. Next up, we have Jane Foster Thor, or the Mighty Thor. And to build this figure, I used the Mjolnir piece from like a lot of the sets. I used the arms, torso, legs, cape, the head hair combo piece, all from the Love and Thunder set that came with her in both of them. And I used the handcuff trick again to give her gauntlets. And then underneath the head hair combo, I gave her that head from, just a random face that I think kind of looked like her. You could use the same face I used for this one, but I think she looks like angrier in this one. And then you can pop the hair on from Elizabeth Swann to give her the look when she's not wearing the helmet. But you can do whatever suits you, but I like her with the helmet on because I think it looks neat. But it just matters what you like, not what other people like. But gist of it is to use a face that matches well for you. So that is Jane Foster's Thor. Next up, we have Valkyrie from when she is fighting Gore. And I realized that the sword I gave her doesn't really look accurate because it has the red dots on the side. But if you use this sword from... Actually, I don't know where this came from. I just had it. And it's a really neat sword. It looks pretty cool. Here's the back of it. It had like a little stud detailing. You could use that, but in all honesty, I think both of them work. They're just silver swords, so who cares what they look like? So the whole figure I just used from the Love and Thunder Goat Boat set, which is where I got all of the Love and Thunder figures. So yeah, that is Valkyrie, and we'll get on to our next figure. Next up, we have Valkyrie in the suit, and just trying to get the lighting off her face. I don't know why that was on there, because if you make the figure go like there's a line in the middle of it, so I don't know if you guys can see that, but I definitely can. So back to the figure, what we were really talking about. I used some black legs, the torso and arms from the Gringotts Goblin, in the hands from MJ from Spider-Man No Way Home or Far From Home, and I used the head from Valkyrie and the hair from Valkyrie from the Goat Boat set to give her that nice suit look she had at the beginning of the movie. Next up, we have Meek, and to build Meek, it was really simple. I used some black mid-legs, the torso and arms from Agent Coulson, gray hands, and then the head to round it off, which is from the Meek minifigure we got in the Thor, Thor's New Asgard set, and I think it looks really good for Meek in a really simple custom, but it looks pretty good. Next up, we have Korg, and to build Korg, I gave him his little, what's that thing called? His, like, little weapon he uses, which is like a candlestick. I only know that it's kind of like a candlestick from the Clue game, because that's what it looked like, but I used the torso, arms, hands, legs, head, and little piece up there, all from the Korg from either the little blister pack, I guess you would call it, of the figures from Endgame, where it came with Meek, Valkyrie, Thor, and Korg, and Thor was in his Endgame suit, or you can get it from the Goat Boat set. And to put more detail on there, I added this white piece from the Penguin from Batman, the Lego Batman movie, to finish it off and make it look nicer and add more detailing than the actual piece they gave him, which is the scarf thingy that Thor has on. So that is Korg. Next up, we are getting into the Guardians of the Galaxy, and first off, we have Peter Quill or Star-Lord. So to build him, I used the head and hair from Owen Grady from Jurassic World, the arms, torso from the Rocket Raccoon Polybag. I used some tan hands, and then the legs from T'Challa Star-Lord to give him that neat boot look, but also with the printing for his jet boosters on the side of his leg. so he could go flying like this. But that is how you build Star-Lord, and not a pretty hard figure to build if you have the Rocket Raccoon polybag. If you didn't have it, I'd say just use a red torso like the original one that came with him. But that is our finished Star-Lord minifigure. Oh, and I forgot to say the sack you can get from a lot of places. Just a burlap sack you can put on him. And that is Star-Lord. Next up we have Drax the Destroyer. And it was kind of sad that we didn't see the Guardians for much in this movie. That makes me really excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 to see them, like a whole nother movie about them. And I hope it'd be cool to see Thor appear in that movie. I think he's set to appear in that. But yeah, it'll be fun next year going to see that movie. But anyways, to build Drax, I use the head, torso, arms, hands, and knives from the original Drax from 2017 that came with the what's it called, the Benatar set. I don't know if it was called the Benatar back then. Oh, it was called the Milano set that came with Star-Lord, Gamora, I think even Rocket wasn't in that, a couple other Guardians figures. But yeah, that is Drax the Destroyer. So all in all, a pretty great figure. And the legs, if you're wondering, I didn't forget about, I was getting to that. The legs are from the Build a Minifigure at the Lego store, I'm pretty sure. Because they have those brown boots with dark blue pants. And you can only find them in the Lego store. Build a Minifigure for some reason. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. But that is Drax. Next up, we have Rocket and Groot. And to build these two, for Rocket, he was actually wearing his original suit, the orange suit from the Guardians of the Galaxy first movie. So I used the torso flipped around from Emmett, dark gray arms, dark gray hands, the legs from the Rocket Raccoon polybag Ravager figure. I used the head from that as well. And then I used the tail piece that comes on so many figures, but so many Rocket Raccoons, but I got that from the Ravager Rocket, as always. And for Groot, I used the torso, arms, hands, and head from the Teen Groot figure and gave him some mid-sized legs because he's not as tall as, say, Star-Lord in this movie. So he's still got a pretty ways to go. And if you want to see the size comparison, see, that's what Groot looks like with mid-legs. That's what Star-Lord looks like with actual grown-up legs. So all in all, that is Rocket and Groot. Pretty neat characters. Really cool to see them again in this movie. Next up, we have Mantis and Kraglin. To build Mantis, I use the torso, head, and hairpiece from Mantis. I use some nougat arms there, some tan arms, and put black Sharpie so it looked like she had bare sleeves, but she had black at the bottom. I don't know what you would call that, but I also gave her the legs from Aquaman to give her that nice look there, with the green going down on the pants. And for Kraglin over here, I used the head from the old Star-Lord figures that came with that head. I used the torso, arms, and legs from Yondu, and then put some tan hands on there to round those two out, which I think they turned out really good. And that was Mantis and him. I don't know why I always forget characters' names the second I talk about them, but that is those two. Next up, we have Nebula. I used some dark blue legs, the torso from Rex Danger Vest, a gunmetal gray arm, a gunmetal gray hand, a blue arm, a black hand, and then the head from Nebula from the Avengers compound set to round out her. And we'll move on to our next figure, which isn't a member of the Guardians. Next up, we got the 4 characters from the play they do when they reenacted Thor Ragnarok. So for Thor, I used the torso flipped around from Ragnarok. I used some dark gray arms, some tan hands, the legs from Anakin Skywalker, a red cape, the head from Thor from Ragnarok, Infinity War, or Endgame. The hair comes from Lego City. And then for Loki, I used the head from Captain America, the flipped around side that doesn't have the mouthpiece. I used the torso, arms, hands from J. Jonah Jameson from the old Spider-Man sets. Black legs, and then the hair came from Loki. And then for Odin, we have the torso, arms, hands, and legs from Fred Weasley. The head from Doc Brown, and then the beard piece from Santa Claus. And then for Hela, I used the head and helmet piece from Hela, the legs from Lloyd from the Ninjago movie, black arms, and tan hands. And that was all the figures. So, yeah, they weren't like, I don't think we needed to build them, but if you wanted to build them, here they are. So if you wanted for some reason to reenact them in your Lego City, you can do that. So let's move on to our next figure. Next up, we have Zeus. I used the head from Alfred from the Batman break-in set from the Batman movie. I used some tan arms, tan hands, the torso from the Mandalorian Battle Pack, the hair from the Build a Minifigure section at the Lego store, a yellow lightning piece, the legs from Hermione to give him those nice gunmetal gray shoes there, and I used the skirt from Sensei Wu to round out Zeus. So yeah, that is Zeus. Next up, we have Darcy. I used the legs from the girl, Harry Potter's mama, I think, to give her the dark blue legs with the skirt kind of accent. I used the torso, arms, and hands from one of the Harry Potter figures, Filch. I used the head from Harry Potter, from the young Harry Potter. And I used the hair from Wonder Woman. It's come on many different places. I don't even know why I said Wonder Woman, but I'm pretty sure it's come on her. I don't know, but that is Darcy. Next up, we have Love. I used the black little legs from, I don't know, like Harry Potter, maybe Hermione, something like that. I used the head from Ginny Weasley, the torso flipped around from Blowtorch Trooper, I think that's what they're called. The arms from I don't know what these arms are from. Maybe Joker, I want to say. But I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. And I used tan hands, and that's about it. And the hair comes from Lego City. So that is Love, and let's get on to our last couple figures. Next up, we have the goats, and I do not want to even try to pronounce their names. I don't even know their names, but I just call them the goats because that's what they are. So we have both the goats from the Love and Thunder set, the goat boat, of course. And I like the new goat pieces because it was harder to make a goat that had a Technic pin through it. So I think we could just call them Tom Brady and Michael Jordan because, of course, they're the goats of those sports, but that's my opinion. But could also call one Ronaldo from soccer, like that guy. and then Wayne Gretzky from hockey. So whatever you want to name them. So that are the goats. Next up we have Heimdall, and I used some black legs, the torso and arms from Vision, reddish brown hands, the head from T'Challa Star-Lord, and then the hair from Loki from the CMF series, which I'm so happy to say that we finally have a Marvel CMF series. So you need 3 figures from the CMF series to build this guy. So that is Heimdall, and we'll move on to our last figure. Next up, we have Hercules, and for Hercules, I used the legs from Lucy from the Lego Movie 2. I used the torso, arms, and hands from the Beach Batman figure to give him the shirtless look. The head, I already said the head. The hair comes from the Winter Soldier, and that is Hercules. So pretty great figure all in all, but that is the end of our showcase, so let's wrap this thing up. And that was my showcase on Thor Love and Thunder. If you like the video, please, of course, like the video and subscribe, because trying to get into the Lego Ambassador Network, and any subscriber helps. So if you want to help me try and reach that goal of getting to review Lego sets for you guys, I would really appreciate you to hit the subscribe button. So that is that, and that was my showcase. So peace out, comment your favorite figure if you want to, and that is it. Goodbye.